Hello, Gwenters, and welcome back for a Thirsty Thursday. We're covering a new deck this week called Soldiers Lockdown. I just get annoyed at lockdown decks, but we had a couple people on my Discord talking about Nilfgaard, where they're at, the status of soldiers. I think they could use a few more soldiers, but they've got a lot of soldiers, and they got some really interesting plays that we can make with them. So let's run through this deck. Let me know what you guys think. And let's see if we can improve on this and get a little bit more points out there for Nilfgaard in a heads up play. So I think this is a much better blue coin deck for Nilfgaard than a lot of other decks are, just because we are running so many soldiers. I'm going to say this, as I've said in many videos, but don't get so locked into the idea of what we're talking about as meme cards. I think the problem with meme decks and calling things meme decks is that you're waiting for the perfect setup, perfect play. And the play that is existing here is this Virgriff. And if you have not seen this Virgriff and Vreemed play, I'll walk you through it. But basically the idea here is to get some Darlin soldiers out on the board. Play just one of them will get it for you, but if you can get both of these out, that is 12 points out on the board for you, and then you play Virgriff in between them, and that gets you another 2 soldiers because it's going to trigger the deploy abilities of each of those Darlins, which is going to get you up to 12 plus 6 at 18 with an additional 3 points, so you're at 21 with Virgriff. And then you're going to cap it all off with Vreemed, who's going to boost each of those by 2. And you will have, out on the board at that time, 6 Darlins. Boost them all by 2. And that will be an additional 12 points plus his base of 4. So a lot of points you get out on the board with basically 4-card play there. Now, I will say this. Number one, we've included Turkanal, we've included Joachim, and Coup de Grace here, so you can get a little bit more draw consistency with Joachim and Coup de Grace, and some boost to give them some survivability. But you just need to know that you don't have to have the perfect hand. You can do some cool stuff with Vreemed anyway. He just, so long as you have 1 soldier on the board, which there are a lot of here, you're going to be able to boost it by 2. No, that's a 6-point play from Vreemed. Not amazing. But if you can get 2 of them, like 2 Alba Cavalry, 2 Spearmen, 2 Crossbowmen, if you can even proc a 3rd, if you get the perfect lineup with your Turkanal, then you can get 3 cards out there, and he's boosting by 6 for 4, he's playing for 10, your soldiers are boosted, harder to kill, harder to remove, etc., etc. Wild Boar isn't ruining their lives. So lots of options you have. So don't get so trapped in this that you're waiting for that quote-unquote perfect play. That's just my first PSA on this. The other thing too, Nilfgaardian Knights. Now, I had played this deck a couple different ways. You can actually, and we'll go ahead and do it the more fun way, because we're all about fun here. I think the Karathi Heat Wave gives you a little bit more consistency. It prevents double ball situations as well, which can be nice. But the real fun way to do this is with Igni, and you're basically gonna proc the boosts to get what you want with Nilfgaardian Knights. If you're missing targets, you can play your Ardfane Tortoises and wait for them to knock off the armor to boost the highest unit by 3, so that'll help you get to 20 points on a row. So oddly, they're just kind of setting up your Igni in a way that a lot of people wouldn't really expect. So that can be kind of fun. Spearmen are good damage removal. Magnet Division, good passive points. Ardfane, good damage. Not the best at removal because it only does 2 and you got to wait for those procs. But we're running double locks here with the Alba Army Cavalry. Pikemen are really good on forcing units back to ranged row, which can be good for Igni. Or just passive damage to melee can be helpful. Peter Ser Gwynlev, however you want to say that. Somebody correct me on that one. But this guy's got value. This reset is massive, especially when we pair him with Kahir. So I play tested this, and the Kahir got boosted to like 45 against Northern Realms deck, an all-out charge deck, and I was kind of like, oh man, I feel dirty. And they kept boosting Dawnamir, and I was like, why are you boosting Dawnamir? But they played right into Peter, and I took the win. We were tied because of my getting boosted every time he procced a boost, and then we just went ahead and played Peter and took the win. Anyway, pretty nuts game. But let's get into a game. Let's show you some gameplay. I think the one thing I will say, you could think about an Neromancy in this deck. I have not included it for the pure reason that like there's so many points, so much point value in all of these, and you just don't need them to line up. You don't need the Vergriff. You don't need the Kahir. You don't need the Ramon. What you get in your first hand is going to dictate the cadence with which you play this. Now, if your opponent passes really early, that could give you some problems, but you could go ahead and push them in round 2 to get that gap narrowed down to where you need it. And I just think there's so much value in Lockdown. You could swap it out for a different leader ability. I'm just not a huge fan of the brickness that is often, although he does work out usually. It can be annoying. So make your choices, do as you will, but I'm really liking how this deck plays. So let's get into this. With Caraspace is one of the weaker leader abilities that he might be wanting to protect something of value, so that can be good for us. These are good. This is good. We're going first, so Nilfgaardian Knight is probably who I'm going to keep. We're going to be able to proc these. So it'd be cool if we get Vreemed, and we do. I think here, the only other one I'd like to try to cycle out. Don't need 2 Nilfgaardian Knights. So that worked out pretty well. And then the other thing too here, we get like this Magnet Division. Now you could boost it up to protect it a little bit from some of the smaller removal, but Predatory Dive, if you watched my video from yesterday, it can be a real bear to deal with. So, I mean, go ahead and do whatever you want with that. And we're just gonna drop these Alba Pikemen here. Just good, consistent damage. It's gonna proc into armor for the foreseeable future, but that's gonna work out just fine for us. We also have these Ardfane Crossbowmen we can play into with those. But here, we missed this Nilfgaardian Knight play. I'd say that's probably the one big error that we've had so far, but otherwise doing all right. The other thing too, this deck is so full of soldiers that once you play your Ardfane Crossbowmen, you're just gonna play into like 1,000 soldiers. Okay, I think this works for us. So I'll show you how this works. We did get Vergriff, we did get Vreemed. We missed out on our other Darlin, but that's fine. We might see him destroy one here though. He doesn't, which is good for us. So we're just gonna go ahead and trigger that ability, and boom, boom, there you go. They spawn 2 more. And then these spearmen are going to go ahead and do 4 damage. Oh, sorry, 1 and then 1 for each adjacent soldier. So they're going to do 3 damage. I apologize. 3 damage. So we're waiting for this to get boosted. This Bruiser comes out a little late in my opinion, but he probably just wanted these thrives. Just going to get rid of this and Larvae. And I think we'll proc our boost here on Vergriff, because why not? And then the Veil here is basically just to get you around some poisons in case you go up against a Nilfgaard ball deck. We're going to show you can get some real value out of these Nilfgaardian Knights too against Thrive, just because they're going to get boosted already. Vreemed is still probably great value now. We're going to go ahead and play him. And as you saw, I mean, you get 6 points plus the 4. Like I said, still a 10-point play. It's just going to give you some more staying power. Those boosts can come in clutch against Skellige. Be really helpful. Hardgaith a little annoying here, but not the end of the world. Just going to go ahead and drop down this Nilfgaardian Knight and boost up this Andrega Larvae. Just prevents the Thrive proccing on that larvae. And then it also plays really well into Peter. So we can just go ahead and reset that unit. And it's reset the power of a unit, although I will say, like, unless it's against for a knight or a tortoise, not always going to be the most value. Alright, he's up to 7 here. We basically just keep this Cahir for, we keep this Fion for Cahir. Go ahead and play Peter, and it looks like the best unit to reset is going to be this Necker. 9 points of value. Oh, we're taking 4 damage though. Hardgaith is really pretty valuable these days. A little unclear why he chose to do that. He's gotten us into a little bit of a pressure situation, but he probably doesn't love what he has. This is going to get us 5 points. This keeps us in it. We're just going to proc it against a unit that doesn't have Thrive, just to give ourselves a little bit more certainty there. No, I think he's probably worried as he doesn't have this Caraspace ability to do what he usually likes to do, whatever that might be. He also kind of played the Ardgaith and the Bruiser in the wrong order. It would have done 2 damage, so he would have taken 1 damage from that pikeman. But seeing as he's been willing to take the distance, he might have actually wanted to just save that. All right, Imlerith. Discard draw. Here I basically just have to decide. I mean, I think we'll tie here, right? So probably not worth it. I'm just gonna take the loss. A little bit unfortunate, but he's had to play out his Aperian Phantom, his Winter Queen's out, his Imlerith's out. He's got Neckers and Larvae. So he had a good round. We had a good round. We had to spend some cards we normally wouldn't have, but I think he's probably a little bit pinched. A lot of people are making these kind of like really hard pressed second round runs right now too, and we'll see if we can't get him to do the same. We get Turkanal with Ardfane Crossoman. Really great play. Let's just hope that that's going to get us out of this, because I really don't want to have to put back in Igni. Let's just hope this is a pretty fast round. The other thing, the Spearmen, Ardfane Crossoman, they all line up really well with Joachim and or Coup de Grace. So you have a couple options for Coup de Grace. Just kill their unit and take that unit. And here we're gonna go ahead and drop down Ardfane Crosswoman. Normally I would like them for the passive damage, but Turkanal is just too valuable. Played on a tortoise or a knight. We need the extra card next round. Certainly don't need a million locks. Turkanal played with Spearman is pretty good. Don't know how much value these pikemen are going to get. don't think the lock is going to find us great value. Cahir is a much better option. Now we just pray he doesn't have predatory dive. Since we saw a Hideous Feast and a Parasite, though, I don't have high hopes. But this way we can play a Turkanal with an Alba Spearman between him and Fionn to get maximum value. With Parasite gone too, though, I'm not entirely worried about Cahir. Row movement is probably the one thing I'm worried about with him. I've seen one Wild Hunt Bruiser. I would not be surprised to see a second and or a Drowner. Naglfar into Conqueror is very interesting. Let's just pray he plays this to melee, because then we actually can get 5 points of value. He doesn't. He gets lucky on the draw and he gets Bruiser, so that's unfortunate. Yeah, I don't know what to say about that. That's truly unfortunate. So we are going to try to push these units off this row. I'm going to go ahead and play Turkanal with a pikeman just to give them a little bit of value. We're just going to try to force everyone back to ranged row so we can set up for Igni. If we can get, I think if we can get 2 pikemen out doing damage, we can get some real value here. I'd like to see him play something that's going to get him a passive boost just before we drop down this Cahir, but this constant proccing of Wild Hunt units might be what he was really going for. So I think we might actually just go ahead and drop down this Cahir now. Again, vulnerable to being set up for some row movement, but he's going to be vulnerable to that. Regardless, the pikemen were vulnerable. He didn't choose to do that. Instead, he just played NL Conqueror straight up. Didn't play it onto a Thrive. And so I think we're probably okay here. Ardgaith's going to hit armor and ranged. Cahir and melee, but then we'll keep hitting Cahir. I think we are going to play another pikeman. There's a chance that it's going to hit this pikeman. That would be unfortunate, but I want to get the maximum value out of those pikemen. We're just going to turn on our ticker here. I need him to get up to 20 points in that ranged row. The unfortunate thing too here is we have these Alba pikemen. We might want to do 2 damage to this NL Conqueror to set it up. Oh, but that's going to mean he needs to play even more value to that row in order for Igni to find true value. Karathi Heatwave probably would have been a little bit better here just to get rid of this Oberon. And instead we get Aridin. Oh, that's unfortunate. And now Conqueror is just too many points for us. I need to really get him down. Although now he's got... well, if we get him down... this is unfortunate. Let's just go for Aridin here. And pray he plays something big into ranged. Every time he plays Wild Hunt, Cahir's going to take a boost. And take that damage too. So, not the worst thing in the world for us. Late Drowner. Yeah, we just kind of got outplayed by these monsters this turn. Oh, unfortunate. That first round, we really kind of lost it there. But we'll queue into another game. I usually like to see what they're going to play, but not if they're going to take forever to take their turns. Send them some cheeky hurry-ups. Alright, Imlerith's Wrath is his final play. Not bad. We just couldn't get this Igni to line up for us. So like I said, I had originally had Karathi Heatwave in here. I honestly think it's probably a better play, but was just hoping to make some good fun content. But since we're all about content, we're going to take this same deck, not make that change, and see what we can get done this next round. Interesting play for him to use Kara Space. I think probably to be used on Imlerith. Really couldn't be used on Oberon, so that would have been my guess, but I'm not sure. This is a better lockdown as the leader ability is a little bit more potent. The deck often revolves around that leader ability, so lockdown finding a little bit more value here. Got Turkanal with a Cross Omen, that's great. We've got one lock. Probably only need one of these pikemen. Alright, double Cross Omen with Turkanal is really good for us. Plays right into a Swears. So I think I'm pretty happy with what I see. Ardfen Tortoise I think we do want to keep. Let's go ahead and take Pikeman back. And Darlin Soldier. Alright. The biggest reason you might wonder why, I just really want to try to get Igni in hand, Vergriff, Vreemed. But really coup de grace with our Joachim is just so much value. So many points. The one thing we really didn't think so much about here was what our blue coin play would be. So it's looking like it'll just be Tortoise here. It's a good heads up play. If they knock that armor off and boost themselves, go for it. We're going to see if we can't kill off one of these and then steal the other one with Swears. Kick more worker is an interesting play. We actually can steal a Kikimore Worker as well if we wanted to. I think we're looking at an ethereal deck, I'm guessing. This Death Shadow being used for some ethereal decks nowadays. Then we'll just go ahead and use a lock on the next Kikimore Worker that they play. Also use the lock on this ethereal if we wanted. We're going to go ahead and use it on the Kikimore Worker. Well, actually, let's go ahead and do this last Cross Omen. See if we can't get it killed off. We did not. That's a bit unfortunate. Oh, but not the end of the world. So we're going to proc 3 damage with this cavalry if it comes down. Could also lock this in Drega Eggs. But I think we're going to take this one down and force him out. Gets him a decent number of drones, but it's not enough points to take it per se. Now it's up to us to choose what we want to do. This is only a 4-point reset, so probably not the best. I think we're going to see a taller play coming out. Let's go ahead and let him take this round. Pugo is getting a lot of, seeing a lot of play lately. Got these Darylins. Oh my goodness. Oh, I forgot to take a meeting. We'll finish out this game. Alright. Again, we want to see the Darylins with Vergriff. So we'll go ahead and play Alba Pikeman here. Same cards going into final round. Alright, we got Vreemed. We got Coup de Grace. We really like to get Igni in hand, Vergriff if possible, so let's see if we can't get them. Alba Pikeman's probably the least amount of value for us. Is what it is. So also play well with Alba Spearmen because you can go ahead and get them out and then play the Spearmen onto them. Just kind of waiting to see what he chooses to do first. All right. Alright, so Magna Division misses some value here. That's kind of like the worst of all the options we could get. Not the end of our world. We're just going to go ahead and use this coup de grace on Joachim. If for nothing else than to just clutter up his row. There's the Kikimor Queen. We actually can... try to kill it off, but here we actually got time, so let's actually do this. I just want to get this Kahir out, and you're gonna see how Kahir can be really good against these like big engine decks. And we'll just set up for the Peter as the reset against whatever unit gets the tallest. This is a risk. Right there. That's a little bit unfortunate for us. So not the end of our world. Can use this coup de grace on something else. Much more concerned about getting out Kahir, as he's going to be so many points for us by the time this is over. And then we can just target this Karen Thier. I mean, he's a 4-point play. Not the greatest, but again, not the worst either. Double procs from Kikimor Queen is good on his part. There we go. Kahir gives us the ability to avoid that. Drop down Spearman, erase Ikarin. Probably play that into an Ozral. So we might see that as his final play. Coup de grace missing a lot of value for us here. We'll just proc this on the Barghest. That's okay. I think this reset may just get it for us. It's going to be worth 8 points on this Endrega Larva. A Renew to grab Pugo is a pretty good choice here. Well, let's just hope that reset carries us, but I think we're probably going to see Ozrel. Ozrel does get boosted. Instead, it's Igni, which is a great inclusion. Wish we would have had ours. Could have got great play, but thanks for watching today, guys. Let me know what you think about this deck. Obviously, could probably use some work, but it's a lot of fun. I think you can enjoy it too. But until next time, good luck and keep on gwenting.